Good morning everyone. Let me introduce myself. My name is Maria Devita Arya Maharani. I'm from Diploma 3 English Department Uniksa Bali. Today, I would like to explain about the Unit 1. In this topic, I have 3 subtopics. The first subtopic is letters. The next is faxes. The last is emails. So everyone, without any further ado, let's begin to the first subtopic. So everyone, before I explain about the basic features of a private individual letter, I want to tell you about the letter. Letter is a written message from one person to another. So everyone, we move to the next material. It is about the basic features of a private individual letter. The first feature is sender address. The sender address is placed in the top right-hand corner of the page. It is also acceptable, but less common, to place it in the left-hand corner. In the UK, it is not usual to write the sender name before his or her address. So everyone, the next feature is date. The date is written directly below the sender address, separated from it by a space. It is usually written on the right-hand side of the page. The month in the date should not be written in figure, as this can be confusing. In British English, the sequence is day, month, year. And then in the American English, the sequence is month, day, year. It is acceptable to write the date without the abbreviation. The next feature is inside address. The inside address is written below the sender address and on the left-hand side of the page. In the inside address, there are surname noun. If you know the name of the person you are writing to, write it as the first line of the address. Include either the person's initials or his or her first given name. For example, like Mr. John Smith. The next is job title noun. If you do not know the name of the person you are writing to, but know their job title, you can use that the sales manager in the inside address. The next is department noun. You can address your letter to a particular department of the company, for example, like the sales department. The next is company noun. You can simply address the letter to company itself, for example, like Clark and Co. The order of inside address. The recommended order and style of addresses in the UK is as follows. The first is name of building, the number of building, the name of city, and then the name of country. In other European countries, the number of building may be placed after the name of the street. The name of the country, if known, be included on the line below the name of the city. The postcode may be written on straight line. The name of the town, as well as country, may be in capital letter. The next slide, I want to explain about the courtesy titles used in addresses are as follows. The first is Mr. is the usually courtesy title for a man. The next is Mrs. is used for a married woman. The next is Miss is used for an unmarried woman. The next is Miss is used for both married and unmarried women. The next is Messrs. For Franks is used occasionally for 2 or more men. The other courtesy titles include academic or medical title is doctor, professor, and then for the military title is captain, major, colonel, and general. The next feature of the letter is attention line. An alternative to including the recipient's name or job title in the address is to use an attention line. The next features of the letter is salutation. Salutation is a greeting used in a letter or other written. The first salutation in the letter is Dear Sir. Open a letter written to a man whose name you do not know. The next is Dear Sirs is used to address a company. The next is Dear Madam is used to address a woman whether single or married. The next is Sir or Madam is used to address a person when you do not know their name. When you know the name of the person you are writing to but do not know them well, the salutation takes the form of Dear followed by the courtesy title and the person's name. For example, like Dear Mr. Smith. The next features of the letter is body of the letter. The block style is the one most often used for the body of the letter. It is usual to leave a line space between paragraphs. The next feature is complimentary clause. If the letter begins Dear Sir, Dear Sirs, Dear Madam, or Dear Sir or Madam, the complimentary clause should be yours faithfully. If the letter begins with a personal name, for example like Dear Mr. James, it should be yours sincerely. A letter to someone you know well may close with the more informal best wishes. Avoid closing with old-fashioned phrases, for example like respectfully regards, or will remain yours faithfully. The complimentary clause is usually placed on the left under the rest of the letter. The last features of the letter is signature. Always type your name and, if relevant, your job title below your handwritten signature. But if you include neither your given name nor your title, your correspondent will not be able to identify your sex and may give you the wrong title when he or she replies. So everyone, as you can see in this picture, this is the one example of private individual letters. As you can see in this picture, the first line is the sender's name and sender's address. After that is the date of the letter. After the date of the letter, that is the address of receiver, the name of the company, and then the email of the company. After the receiver address, that is the salutation. After the salutation, that is the body of the letter. And then after the body of the letter, that is the complimentary clause. After the complimentary clause, there is the signature of the sender. The next slide, I want to explain about the basic features of company reply letter. In the basic features of company reply letter is letterhead. In the letterhead, there are type of company, board of directors, address, and register number. So, I want to explain about the type of company. Type of company, there are some abbreviation such as LTD, limited liability. This means that the individual who own the company. And then the next is PLC or public limited company. Is used to show that the company shares can be bought and sold by the public. And then the next, in the USA, the term is ENC or incorporated. The next abbreviation is NCO, indicates that a company, a partnership between two or more people. If the company is a family concern, the abbreviation is sons or bros. Bros means brothers or daughter, may be aged. Partnership may have limited liability or unlimited liability. If neither LTD nor NCO appear after a company's name, then it may be a sole trader, person who owns and runs a business on their own. The next is Board of Directors. Board of Directors is the name of the chairman of the company who takes an active role in the day-to-day running of the company may be added in the letterhead. And then the next is address. In the address, you can add the address of the company, telephone and fax number also be included, and email website addresses. A cable telegram addresses may also be included. The next is register number. This usually appears in small print, sometimes in the country or city in which the company is registered. In the UK, the VAT value added tax number may also be given. The next is references. References are often coded to indicate what the letter refers to and the correspondent to refer to when replying. Reference may either appear in figures. The next is pre-pro. The abbreviation is PP. Is used by administrator or personal assistants when signing letters on behalf of their managers. The next is job title. When sending a letter or email on behalf of your company, it is a good idea to include your job title in the signature block. The next is enclosures. If there are any document enclosed with a letter, although this may be mentioned in the body of the letter, it is also common to write ENC or ENCL below the signature block. So everyone, as you can see in this picture, this is the one example of company reply letter. As you can see in this picture, the first line is the letterhead. There are the type of company, and then the board of directors, and then the address of the company. And then after the letterhead, that is the reference and the date of the letter. And then as you can see in this picture, this is the pre-pro, and then the job title, and then the last is enclosed. So everyone, the final letter in this section is footer of business letter. So I want to explain about the further features of business letter. The first features is private and confidential. This process may be written at the head of the letter and more important on the envelope in cases where the letter is intended to be read only by the address. The next is subject title. A subject title at the beginning of a letter, directly after the salutation, provides a further reference, safe introduction, the subject in the first paragraph. The next is copies. Copies is CC, carbon copy, is added usually at the end of the letter before the names of the recipient of the copy. So everyone, as you can see in this slide, this is the one example of further of business letter. The first is private and confidential, and then the next is subject title, and then the last is copies. The last is addressing envelopes. Envelope addresses are written in a similar way to inside addresses. As you can see in this slide, this is the one example of addressing envelopes. This is it at the name of the town and then the country, and then for the postcode is usually written on a line by itself, and then for the town and the country are written in capital letters. So everyone, we proceed to the next subtopic. It is about faxes. In this section, I want to explain about the faxes. The first is introduction. The word fax comes from facsimile, which means an exact copy or reproduction. A fax message is useful when speed is important and the recipient does not have email. It is especially used for documents containing diagrams or drawings. Like email, a fax can be sent quickly to many different recipients at the same time. However, again like email, fax is open system. When sending a handwritten fax message, use a dark color and make your writing large and clear. Faxes are copies of documents. They cannot be used when the original are required. Faxes have been court-tested and they tend to be accepted in legal cases, along with letters, as evidence in certain areas of international trade. So everyone, we move to the preparing for transmission. For the first is check that you have the correct fax number, and then the next is check that the paper on which your message, and then the third one is check that you know how dial, cancel, clear a paper jam, and send. And then the last is when you send a fax, it's good idea to use a fax transmission cover form. So everyone, as you can see in this slide, this is the one example of faxes. As you can see in this first line in that picture, this is the letterhead, and then after the letterhead, that is the body of the fax. So everyone, we proceed to the next subtopic. It is about emails. In this section, I want to explain about emails. The first is introduction. Emails is short for electronic mail, is a means of sending messages between computers. To send and receive email, you need access to the internet. So everyone, the next I would like to tell you about the advantages and disadvantages of using email. For the first advantages of using email is easy to use and then an effective way to communicate quickly. And then the next is useful for short message, and then can access text and graphic document and spreadsheets. And then the next is can be used on laptop or palm top. And then for the disadvantages of using email are non-deliver of message and unreliable form of attachment. So everyone, next is email addresses. In the email addresses, we talk about the typical email addresses. As you can see in this slide, this is the one example of email addresses. For the first part of email addresses is the surname and initial of the person. And then after that is the name of organization. And then the last part included the domain name suffix is the type of organization. So I want to tell you about the other example of domain name suffixes referring to types of organization included. The first is .biz. It is for business, and then .gov. This is for government office, and then next is .org. It is not profit making organization, and then .pro. It is for profession. The next, I would like to explain about the typical email message. Header information. The header gives essential information about the message. For the first sample is CC, carbon copies, which means much the same as it does on a letter. And then the next is BCC, blank carbon copies. This is do not want the main recipient to know has received copies. For the message text, the presentation of the text in an email is usually less formal than in a letter. And then for the signature of the email, this is like the signature block in a letter, although it usually includes more details. For example, the sender's of company or private address and telephone and fax number. You can program your email software to add your signature automatically to the end of outgoing message. The next is email abbreviation. In order to keep email message short, people sometimes use abbreviation for common expression. As you can see in this slide, this is some example of three-letter acronyms or TLAS. For the number one, it is FYI, for your information. And then next is auto, on the other hand. Next is BFN, by for now. And then the next abbreviation is emoticons. Emoticons, a combination of the word emotion and icon, also known as smiles, are often used in formal email correspondence. They express emoticon which may not be evident from the word alone. As you can see in this slide, this is the example of emoticon: a smile, a frown, and a wink. On the whole, it is better not to use them in business messages, as they may be considered unprofessional, especially if you do not know the recipient well or are not sure that he or she will understand them. So everyone, as you can see in this slide, this is the picture of example of email. As you can see in this first line, this is two is for the recipient, and then after the two, it is the subject of the email. After the subject of the email, that is the salutation for the recipient, and then after the salutation, that is the body of the email, and then after the body of the email, that is the complimentary clause, and then the signature. The points to remember are: the first is include the right amount of information, and then next is plan before you start writing, and then next is use a simple but polite style language, and then next is make sure that everything you write is clear and easy to understand, and then next is accuracy is important, and then the last is check what you have written when you have finished. So everyone, I think that's all my explanation about the Unit 1. It is about fax, letter, and email. Thank you for watching and see you.